Hello, I'm Randy McClure. Welcome to the latest supply chain tech brief. Are trying to navigate this ocean of information, but so often they're doing it almost completely blind. From the people planning the shipments to the teams in finance, big decisions are being made every single day based on just a tiny piece of the whole story. And this quote from Randy McClure, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly sums up the problem we're going to dig into today. This idea of working with a fragmented view of the truth and what that really truly costs a business. And let's be super clear here. This isn't some abstract, nerdy data problem. This fragmentation has very real, very tangible consequences that create ripples across the entire supply chain, hitting the bottom line and hitting it hard. I mean, we are not talking about hypotheticals. Think about it. A shipping department that gets hammered with address correction fees over and over just because their data systems don't talk to each other? Or picture this: highly paid engineers stuck at a job site, literally unable to work because they have no clue which of the dozens of shipments arriving that day has the one critical part they need. As the source points out, these aren't just headaches, they're expensive and totally avoidable problems. So here's the bottom line. In today's digital first world, having your shipping data scattered all over the place isn't just inefficient anymore, it is a massive strategic liability. But the good news is there is a blueprint to fix it. And that blueprint is what the source material calls an intelligent shipping data framework. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but just think of it as the roadmap out of all this data chaos, a structured way to finally get some clarity and control over the entire life of a shipment. And at the very heart of this framework is a simple yet incredibly powerful idea: the Transport Unit Identifier, or TUID. Now, listen, this is not just another tracking number. Think of it more like a golden thread, a unique digital ID that ties together every single piece of data for one shipment, from planning and finance to execution, all the way through its journey. And that journey, well, it happens across five distinct phases. We're going to walk through every single one, starting with the forecast, then moving to planning, execution, and settlement, and finally, wrapping up with post analysis. Let's see how this two-weed completely transforms each step. All right, so let's jump into that journey. This very first phase is where you see one of the biggest changes. It takes the process from being reactive and chaotic to being proactive and crystal clear. So today, forecasting is often like trying to drive forward while looking only in the rearview mirror. It's all based on broad historical data, which makes it nearly impossible to connect the dots between specific products or purchase orders. But with a TUED, everything changes. The source gives a perfect example. A cold chain logistics company can now predict its need for refrigerated trucks, not just based on the season, but on the actual mix of fresh product orders. They can link the products directly to the transport they need. That is the power of getting granular. Okay, next up is the planning phase. And that word on your screen, chaotic, is not an exaggeration. It is the perfect word to describe the reality for so many shippers and brokers who are just trying to get their loads booked. You have shippers posting the exact same load on five different boards, which creates total confusion about what's a real load and what's already been taken. This chaos is just a breeding ground for fraud. A TUID cuts right through all that noise. Each load gets one single verifiable identity. Now, everyone involved, the shipper, the broker, the carrier, can see its status in real time. It brings order and security to a process that desperately needs it. So, this brings us to the execution phase, and a question that I think we should all be asking ourselves. We've all used tracking numbers for packages, right? But are they really giving us the full picture we actually need? Well, the short answer is a definite no, not even close. A carrier's tracking number is basically its own little island of data. It can tell you where a box is, sure, but it tells you absolutely nothing about the critical product or financial data that's tied to that shipment. The source describes a car dealership waiting on a crucial part. With a TUID, they don't just see a truck on a map, they see the specific part inside, its value, and they can proactively reroute it if something goes wrong. That is what true visibility looks like. All right, next up, settlement. And man, if you have ever been involved in freight bill auditing, this quote probably feels a little too real. It's often a total nightmare of paperwork, exceptions, and headaches. The old way is this slow manual process of trying to match up carrier invoice IDs, and it completely falls apart the second something goes wrong, like a service failure or a rate dispute. A TUID, on the other hand, links everything together automatically: the contract rates, the proof of delivery, the transit times. any problems, it's all connected. It turns a preposterous administrative challenge into a sleek automated process that actually gives you useful insights. And that takes us to our final phase, post analysis. This is supposed to be where we learn and get better. But the reality for most companies, analysts spend the majority of their time just trying to clean up inaccurate, incomplete, messy data. Trying to calculate something as basic as the total landed cost can be, as the source puts it, excruciating. But with the TUID, that data is already clean, complete, and connected from the start. This makes analysis way faster, way more accurate, and it opens the door for powerful AI tools to find insights we could never even see before. So, when you put all five of these phases together, you start to see this really fundamental shift happening. This is so much bigger than just fixing a few operational problems. We are now talking about transforming data into a genuine strategic asset and changing the entire role of logistics inside a business. And this is the holy grail. This is the ultimate goal. All of that work, every phase of this framework, it all leads to this one incredibly powerful outcome: a single, reliable, undisputed source of truth for every single shipment. And that right there is the real takeaway. When you truly master your shipping data, you're not just saving a little time or reducing a few fees. You are fundamentally changing logistics from being a necessary cost of doing business into a powerful strategic asset, one that can give you a serious competitive advantage. This final quote just wraps up the entire journey perfectly. This framework isn't just another piece of technology, it's the missing link that finally connects all the scattered pieces of the shipping puzzle, creating that single source of truth that everyone's been searching for. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about for your own operations. Is your shipping data a hidden cost, a source of constant confusion, a liability? Or is it a source of clarity, efficiency, and a real competitive advantage, a true strategic asset? The answer could change everything.
Hello, this is Raymond McClure from SC Tech Insights. Thank you for listening. For more on this topic, click the article link below or go to www.sctechinsights.com for the latest insights on supply chain technology. Thank you and see you next time.